We are you, free men, and you are us.
How did the Vortigaunts stop the most powerful entity in Half-Life? Do these aliens carry more power than we originally knew? And why did they help Gordon Freeman and the Resistance against the Combine? The Half-Life series features a sentient alien species called Vortigaunts, also referred to as alien slaves or Zen slaves, but lovingly called Vorts by their allies. Long before Half-Life 1 and the Black Mesa incident, the Combine invaded the Vortigaunts' homeworld. The survivors of the invasion fled to Zen, where they were taken prisoner and used as workers and drone soldiers by the Nihilith, the great entity who ruled that reality. The Nihilith enslaved the Vortigaunts and led them back to Earth, following the Black Mesa incident because they saw an opportunity to flee through the opening rift. Following the 7-Hour War and Nihilith's demise, which is explained in my previous video, the Vortigaunts have decided to join forces with the human-led Resistance in their attempt to topple the Combine's authority over Earth. But why? First off, Vortigaunts are somewhat humanoid, but not really. They do speak English fluently, although with a strange accent. They are also equipped with 2 arms and 2 legs, in addition to a 3rd arm that protrudes from their torso. Other bipedal sentient species from Zen, such as the Nihilith and the alien grunt, also possess this extra limb. Given how frequently Vortigaunts and alien grunts are spotted bending over dead victims to feed, it appears that this 3rd arm is employed for eating. This resemblance, in addition to other traits like digitigrade legs, meaning they walk on their toes, and red eyes, clearly suggests that they have a common ancestor with other sentient Zen life forms. In Half-Life Alyx, however, it is also demonstrated that Vortigaunts can use their green energy, which we are going much more in depth on later, via this 3rd arm. As well as in Half-Life Alyx, Vortigaunts appear slightly different. Rather, with the hands ending in 2 digits, each hand now has an opposable thumb. Their feet now have 3 clawed fingers, giving them more of an avian appearance than when they had just a 1-hoof claw in the earlier games. Vortigaunts are social, highly intelligent animals. They can form groups or couples and devise cunning plans of action throughout the Half-Life series. Vortigaunts will frequently flee from a greater foe, and if they can, band together to form a more formidable army. A few brief insights into Vortigaunt culture can be obtained from speeches made by Vortigaunts in the game, including an Easter egg known as the All-Knowing Vortigaunt, which is found in Half-Life 2 near the end of the chapter Water Hazard. This All-Knowing Vortigaunt is an embodiment of the power and intelligence the Vortigaunts hold. He comments about how the species has been enduring slavery for many generations, in the quote,
We have endured these chafing bonds for eons, yet a single moment of further servitude seems intolerable.
We have endured these chafing bonds for eons, yet a single moment of further servitude seems intolerable. As well as he speaks about cryptic statements pertaining to the Zen, the Nihilith, the Black Mesa incident, and the unknown relationship between Gordon Freeman and the G-Man. It is also interpreted by players that his lines break the 4th wall, describing you, the player, who is controlling Gordon Freeman, with the lines,
Far distant eyes look out through yours. Something secret steers us both. We shall not name it.
Far distant eyes look out through yours, and something secret steers us both. We shall not name it, as you being the driving element of their existence. A quote that really stuck out to me, which gives us insight on the relationship between the Vortigaunts and Gordon Freeman is,
The way ahead is dark for the moment. What seems to you a sacrifice is merely to us an oscillation. We do not fear the interval of darkness. We are a tapestry woven of vortessence. It is the same for you if only you would see it. How many are there in you? Whose hopes and dreams do you encompass? Could you but see the eyes inside your own, the minds in your mind, you would see how much we share. We are you, free men, and you are us.
the way ahead is dark for the moment. What seems to you a sacrifice is merely to us an oscillation. We do not fear the interval of darkness. We are a tapestry woven of vortessence. It is the same for you if only you would see it. How many are there in you? Whose hopes and dreams do you encompass? Could you but see the eyes inside your own, the minds in your mind, you would see how much we share. We are you, Freeman, and you are us. To explain this quote, I first need to talk about the concept of vortessence. Vortigaunts basically believe that there is a life force woven into the fabric of the universe, made up of vortal cords, binding all living things and more importantly conscious and sentient beings together. Sound familiar? Yes, it's basically the Force. Humans are bound and affected by the Vortessence, or vortal field if you will, but are unaware of its transcendental nature and influence because we don't have the physical capacity to sense or intentionally interact with it, unlike Vortigaunts. The Vortigaunts also have a unique way of communicating that they call flux shifting. It seems to involve both a sensory element unique to the Vortigaunts and a language with auditory components similar to the human language. Humans and others whose vortal inputs are impaired are unable to comprehend flux shifting. This is supported by voice lines in the game by Vortigaunts which say, "The Freeman must excuse us. It is rude for us to commune by flux shifting in front of those whose vortal inputs are impaired." And another Vortigaunt says, "Yes, we will vocalize in your auditory language as a matter of courtesy." Flux shifting is the human phrase they use to refer to their innate natural ability to interact with the vortal field, and thus do things that humans would consider magical, or at least impossible, without the aid of extremely advanced technology. Vortigaunts even tend to use archaic words, outdated sayings, and even Shakespearean phrases. They do not have the need to speak to each other, as they share a telepathic link through the Vortessence by which they are able to relay information to each other, with the minimal use of auditory language and through great distances. Now let's get back to this quote. "What seems to you a sacrifice is merely to us an oscillation. We do not fear the interval of darkness. We are a tapestry woven of Vortessence." The Vortigaunt is referring to the human concept of death, or ceasing to exist. Vortigaunts view death as an oscillation, or a cycle, a recurrent and inevitable interval of darkness between existences. This suggests that they are aware of, or believe that there is some kind of spiritual immortality or reincarnation because of inherent properties of the vortal world that are difficult for humans to perceive or comprehend. The statement, "We are a tapestry woven of Vortessence," reaffirms their belief that life continues after death and that the soul and vortal existence do not stop. It is the same for you if only you would see it. Here the Vortigaunt is bluntly informing Freeman that people are just as much as a part of the Vortessence as Vortigaunts are. A characteristic shared by all living things, or just matter in general, is the vortal field, which connects us in ways that humans are ill-suited to observe or engage with firsthand. However, Vortigaunts are able to do so. This implies that although humans are unable to perceive it, they are all actually connected to one another and possess the same spiritual nature as Vortigaunts. Although these connections vary in strength and nature, for example, humans are connected to other humans more strongly, Vortigaunts are connected to one another more strongly, and Freeman is weirdly connected to basically everything, which I'll explain more about later. How many are there in you? Whose hopes and dreams do you encompass? Could you but see the eyes inside your own, the minds in your mind, you would see how much we share. We are you, Freeman, and you are us. He's explaining further on his point that Freeman is connected not only to himself, but to the hopes and dreams, and presumably life force of the entire human race, as he is its ultimate representative and unlikely savior. Presumably there is some kind of vortal fate or circumstance helping him along the way, which is why all the Vortigaunts believe in him so devoutly. It seems like they know about a prophecy, that Gordon Freeman is humanity's savior, and they must commit their lives to him. Now this point brings me back to the why and the how. First, I'll conclude the why. Both Gordon Freeman and the Vortigaunts share a common enemy in the form of the Combine, the alien empire that has subjugated their worlds, enslaved their kind, and sought to conquer other worlds. Both Gordon and the Vortigaunts share the goal of resisting and ultimately throwing over the Combine's rule over Earth. They recognize that cooperating with Gordon Freeman gives them the best chance of achieving this goal. Secondly, gratitude. Gordon Freeman inadvertently helped the Vortigaunts by destabilizing the oppressive regime of the Nihilanth. By defeating the Nihilanth in Half-Life, Freeman freed the Vortigaunts from his control, earning their gratitude. And finally, the Vortigaunts' deep connection to the Vortessence allows them to foresee certain events or have knowledge of future outcomes. It's hinted that they see Gordon Freeman as a significant figure in some sort of cosmic prophecy, leading them to aid him in his journey against the Combine. I would like to mention, however, in Half-Life 1, the Vortigaunts were common enemies that you would go around killing with your crowbar. The G-Man mentions this in a frozen sequence of the game.
When their only experience of humanity was a crowbar coming at them down a steel corridor.
As well as, this didn't leave a hatred with the Vortigaunts towards humanity, because during that time, the Vortigaunts were under the control of the Nihilith and were not free beings. They also understand that he did it all in goodwill and to save himself to destroy Nihilith. The Vortigaunts credit Gordon Freeman with their freedom and hold them into almost religious esteem as the free man. Now how do they help? In Half-Life 2, they are eager to assist in overthrowing the Combine. They possess a productive electrical attack that can also recharge batteries, power electronic circuits, and even power up Gordon's HEV suit. They healed Alex in the beginning of Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Notably, however, it's worth mentioning that not all Vortigaunts have been freed, and it is seen that some Vortigaunts were working under the Combine, wearing collars and armbands, essentially being janitors. The Overwatch, the voice which broadcasts orders to the Combine and citizens, mentions these workers as political conscripts, and bats no eye to sometimes deservicing them if there's no need for them. The Vortigaunts also end up saving Gordon from G-Man's grasp in the start of Half-Life 2 Episode 1, which I will go more in depth in the next chapter on, as well as saving Alex from certain death after the explosion of the Citadel's dark fusion reactor. In Half-Life 2 Episode 2, the Vortigaunts play a slightly larger role, saving Alex from wounds from being eaten even from a collapsed building that Freeman fell under. Everyone knows that the Vortigaunts played a crucial role in the character's survival, especially saving Alex's life while doing a ritual. It is at this point that G-Man reestablishes contact with Freeman and states,
I realize this moment may not be the most convenient for a heart-to-heart, but I had to wait until your friends were otherwise occupied.
This suggests that the Vortigaunts had somehow been keeping the G-Man at bay, showcasing their power, but they were unaware of the intrusion, or pretended to be, and they never mentioned the G-Man. As well as a gameplay little Easter egg and gameplay purposes, if Gordon strays too far from Alex during the course of Episode 2 to some specific places where she cannot reach, the screen briefly shows the text, the Freeman must proceed with the Alex Vans, else her struggle is doomed to failure. Those who do not learn from their mistakes are doomed to an endless Vortal loop. Then the game reloads, referencing that those who continue to leave Alex will keep reloading the game. This may even suggest that the Vortigaunts are controlling Gordon Freeman and his future. Now let's talk more about the Vortigaunts versus G-Man. 5 years before the events of Half-Life 2, the G-Man is captured by the Combine with methods yet to be specified and held in a floating prison called the Vault, which is powered by Vortigaunt energy to keep him contained. The Vault is a superconductive floating structure held aloft by numerous enslaved Vortigaunts inside substations situated throughout the quarantine zone, which project vertical blue beams into the sky to indicate their locations. These substations are designed to torture the energy out of a group of Vortigaunts housed in pod farms attached to them. Then the output is collected from the Vortigaunts before being reharmonized by a single conductor. The harvested energy of the Vortigaunts' Vortessence chants flows through the internal structures of the Vault, aiding in the containment of G-Man. However, in Half-Life Alyx, which is based 5 years before the events of Half-Life 2, Alex Vance was on a mission to free Gordon Freeman as they believed he was in this prison. However, he was still in stasis since the first game. They didn't know this. After Alex frees the G-Man, he pulls her into his dimension. Now, I did just say the G-Man was captured by the Combine with methods yet to be specified. However, I have a theory for this. I believe that the whole premise of Half-Life Alyx was a test to prove Alex's worth, and he got himself captured intentionally. We know that G-Man believed that Alex is powerful and could even replace Gordon Freeman as his order taker, and perhaps this was all a ploy to prove Alex's worth to his employers, similarly to how he told Gordon his employers agreed with him on the statement Gordon has limitless potential. Because of the nature of Gordon's hiring, we can safely assume that before carrying out employments, G-Man must consult. As such, his employers will not take his word at face value when replacing someone as unbelievably unique as Gordon, and he had to prove it. Basically, I think his line of thinking was, to prove to my employers Alex is a suitable replacement, I'll allow the Combine to capture me. It's a considerable nudge and a dangerous gamble, but worth executing. That is assuming he allowed himself to get captured, of course. It's the most likely scenario, but I personally spurn it. That would make G-Man on the border of omnipotence or invincibility, which I found ridiculously cheap. I much prefer him being bested. We've already seen in both episodes how he isn't all-powerful anyway. The problem for me is that if I had to nitpick, the way Half-Life Alyx laid it out gives the impression he planned it all, which is why the theory he allowed himself to get captured is so rampant. The video of the frozen sequence when Alex was getting healed by the Vortigaunts in Half-Life 2 also mentioned,
When I plucked her from Black Mesa. I acted in the face of objections that she was a mere child and of no practical use to anyone. I have learned to ignore such naysayers when quelling them was out of the question. Still, I am not one to squander my investments, and I remain confident she was worth far more than the initial appraisal.
This is yet another reason for this theory, and it explains yet again why the Vortigaunts have a vendetta against G-Man, and why they share a common enemy with Gordon Freeman. They must know through the Vortessence how G-Man planned this all for his bidding, and the way they are being used as slaves again, like they were for generations in their path. Now what am I trying to say with this whole spiel? I'm trying to showcase the strength that the Vortigaunts had on G-Man, with the Vortigaunts' energy being the only means to capture him and keep him imprisoned. Of course, after Alex freed the Vortigaunts and the chamber was opened, G-Man's plan followed through. The strength is also shown in the beginning of Half-Life 2 when the Vortigaunts hold G-Man back from interacting with Gordon Freeman. Remember, I told you I'd get back to this? The exact reasons for these actions were not explicitly stated, however I have some theories. Their sort of Buddhistic philosophy in the game may dictate how they understand the delicate balance of power in the Half-Life universe, and may intervene to prevent any single entity like the G-Man from getting too much control or influence. This also supports my prophecy statement, as seeing Gordon Freeman as a savior or force for maintaining that balance, as well as the vendetta versus G-Man continually supports their actions, as they know more than we know. This strength is unmatched in the universe, and it's surprising how these enslaved creatures have this much power over the fifth dimensional entity that is G-Man. To wrap it up, the Vortigaunts' involvement in the struggle against the Combine and their alliance with Gordon Freeman can be attributed to several key factors. Secondly, Freeman's actions in defeating the Nihilith inadvertently freed the Vortigaunts from enslavement, earning him their gratitude and reverence as the Freeman. Additionally, the Vortigaunts possess a deep connection to Vortessence, granting them foresight and knowledge of future events, leading them to see Freeman as a pivotal figure in a cosmic prophecy. This connection also empowers them to detain powerful entities like the G-Man, showcasing their formidable strength and influence in the Half-Life universe. Their intervention against the G-Man's influence reflects their belief in maintaining balance and preventing any single entity from gaining too much control. Overall, the Vortigaunts' support for Freeman and the Resistance underscores their pivotal role in the fight for freedom and their complex understanding of the universe's intricate dynamics. Thanks for watching, guys. If you stayed this long and you enjoyed this exploration of the Vortigaunts' role in Half-Life, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on more gaming lore and analysis. Remember to hit that like button if you found this content insightful, and feel free to leave a comment sharing your thoughts or any theories that you might have about the Half-Life universe. Your support helps me continue to delve into the rich narratives of gaming. Stay tuned for more exciting content. Until the next time, Mr. Stawiki out.